A couple of weeks ago, Zach and Greg gave you a tour of our gaming club and teased an exciting expansion. On the other side of this door is an even bigger space, and I'm holding the keys to the new kingdom. This door connects our current club room to another office with endless possibilities. It's a blank canvas for us to design, build, and decorate as the ultimate wargaming room. And that's what we'll do today. Shall we get to work?
Before we get to work on the renovation, a quick public service reminder for you to get to work and spend a few minutes taking the WSS Great Wargaming Survey. We've covered the results of this annual survey for years on our channel, and it yields a treasure trove of public data on the state of the miniature wargaming hobby. Just click on the link in the description below to take the survey. It starts today and lasts the entire month of August. Okay, now we can fire up the power tools.
We've been working on this club expansion for over a year. This has been a hugely ambitious project for us to tackle. The new space is wider than our existing room, which makes this side of the building 594 square feet.
Just like our current basement space, this side of the building has steps going down to a full basement. Originally, we were thinking of this new basement purely as storage, but now we're reconsidering whether we could come up with a more creative use for the space.
We'll come back to the basement later. For now, let's focus on the main level, where we have lots of possibilities.
Let's start with the obvious. We can easily fit full-size gaming tables. Adding those tables would free up valuable floor space on the original side of the club to solve some of the layout issues.
For years, we've had two issues here. One, a serious lack of seating, and two, there's no space at the bar.
Another wish list item is a proper board game table. We'll have to decide which side of the club to set up for board games, but for the very first time, we finally have plenty of floor space to make it happen.
Here's our design goal. Make the existing bar more functional, add food and drink storage, create room for a board game table, build some board game storage, add comfortable lounge seating, install more gaming tables.
As a club, we all agreed that we wanted the new space to have a totally different vibe, making it distinct from our current Victorian parlor. We did consider a lot of different eras of history, and I mean, the oldest one, of course, how can you not consider something in antiquity? Maybe like a senator's house or a Greek forum of some kind.
Yeah, so one of the problems with that we found was that it might be a little too sterile.
Yeah, a lot of white marble.
If we're going to be rich Romans, that would require an awful lot of marble, which is kind of outside our price range.
Okay, real marble outside the price range. Lots of faux marble options.
True.
So I think it would have been really bright and light. But yeah, I think there was a little bit of concern. It's also really specific. But perhaps not as specific as the second theme that we talked about, which I got to admit, when it first came up, I was really hot to trot on. Wild West Saloon. Yeah. Iconic.
And a saloon would be iconic for this club.
Yeah, thanks. Noted.
A lot of rustic wood.
Yeah, it would look cool.
Wood floors.
Yeah.
Probably pick up a cheap piano somewhere. The downside for me would have been it's a little too specific. I mean, we all love a good Wild West game, but it's not primarily what we play in here.
A few times a year.
Yeah. The third option that we considered was either the Admiralty office or some kind of officers club. As you might be aware, we have a fairly strong Anglophile in this club who was pushing for anything British.
I really like the officer club idea. I mean, there's lots of neat decor we could do for it. Right. I think it would look really classy. I think that debate really came down to whether or not it was too similar in vibe to kind of what we already have going on here, with leather chairs and dark wood and paneling. I don't know. It felt like to me the new space would be most fun if it was something really distinct and different from this.
Because let's be honest, the difference of 100 years, probably not that big of a difference. So one of the other ones that we considered was a medieval theme.
Yeah, a lot of directions you could go with a medieval theme. Sort of like traditional European castle. Also talked about a Crusader castle, which I think if you're debating between the two, maybe a little more appealing to me because a Crusader castle is just lighter, brighter. You've got that kind of lighter, sandy looking stone. And castles are cool. So I think there's a lot to be said for doing that, but definitely some drawbacks to any kind of castle theme. Of course, the biggest one being how the hell do you do stone? Stone is heavy, stone is expensive, and faux stone, if you've ever looked at that, can look really cheesy.
Right. Now, you do get to decorate it with some nice tapestries.
Swords, shields, tapestries, lots of cool decor
Which
options.
is iconic.
Absolutely.
If you really wanted to go down that road, you could even make it more of a Middle-earth theme.
Is that something we would do?
Maybe.
Kind of similar, really, to the castle angle. I think, we debated at length a Viking longhouse or something a little bit more Dark Ages, because you can bring in the wood elements. You don't need as much stone, so it felt like maybe it would be a little bit more affordable to pull off the longhouse. And we do a lot of Dark Age kind of gaming in this club, so it also felt period appropriate.
And if you do that, are you looking at more of kind of a log structure, like log cabin-y kind of structure with lots of hewn wood? I think of something more along the lines of like 13th Warrior.
Antonio Banderas.
Are we going to put a fire circle in the middle of the room?
Well, we talked about that. I think there's lots of neat angles. One of my concerns with the Viking longhouse was light.
Yeah, they tend to be dark.
They are dark, smoky places. So would it be too dark over there? Because, anytime you're designing a game room, you have to think about practical considerations, and light is a big one. We play here at night in the club, so you do want the space to be bright and well lit. Well, Dave, let's close out the options with one of the strongest contenders, a World War I or World War II theme. Maybe some kind of bunker. You could incorporate sandbags. Obviously, we already have some kind of World War II elements in this room, and it's one of the most popular gaming periods, not just for historical gamers generally, but here in our club.
I do like that. The idea of some kind of bunker, even like the Churchill War Room,
absolutely,
which we were able to visit.
Yeah. A lot of cool designs you could maybe steal from that.
Yeah.
Earlier this year, we surveyed our Patreon supporters for fun, just to see how they'd rank the theme options. How would you have voted? To be clear, the ultimate decision was not made by Democratic committee. It was a tough call. We spent several weeks debating, but we picked, drum roll please, a Crusader castle.
Okay, let's talk about how to bring this crazy vision to reality. Here's the game plan. First, we're going to move all of the tables from the old space into the new space. This will open up half the room for a proper board gaming area, along with leather chairs for lounging. Then we'll build a brand new 7x5 table, which will take up less space and allow us some elbow room around the bar.
In the little passage between the two offices, we'll create a food and drink area. We're going to add even more storage by building a custom cabinet for games, miniatures, and terrain.
That solves all the practical design goals. Now, we just have to figure out how to make the empty room look more like a proper castle.
What are the hallmarks of a Crusader castle? Dramatic barrel-vaulted ceilings, exposed stonework, tall windows, wood timbers, and, of course, suitable decor.
Barrel-vaulted ceilings are beyond our budget and skill set, but we can capture some of that feel by adding rounded archways. So on this side of the room, we'll frame a half wall to hide the basement steps and build a custom arched opening to keep the natural light of the windows in the stairwell. Flanking the vestibule, we're going to add some stonework to these two walls.
Turning around to the other side of the room, we'll frame out the doorways with exposed wood beams and continue our arch theme by building shallow arches across the soffit that spans the length of the ceiling. Finally, we'll add stone to both of these big walls, floor to ceiling. That should be a dramatic visual statement. All right, so unfortunately we had to pause a lot of the renovation work here at the building because, you can see behind me we found a water leak. Ed was actually here over a weekend and sent me a message on Facebook and said that he saw water coming through the ceiling. So it appears that this damage is quite old and that there's been water coming through here for a while. And until we get that figured out, we have to put everything on pause here. So it sucks. I guess it's good it happened now rather than later when we did all the work. But it definitely is going to involve some kind of delay here till we figure it out.
So we're just 3 work days into our Crusader Castle renovation when we have to hit pause while the water leak in the new space gets figured out. The water leak isn't the only thing that we have to figure out. There's also this new basement.
We gutted the entire basement on demo day, but this space is not going to be part of our Crusader Castle. I think we may tap one of the other previously discussed themes for the basement. We'll save that for a surprise later this year.
Next time, in part 2 of this series, we'll finish the build out of the castle upstairs and you'll see the complete transformation.
But while the construction continues, we'll bring you a brand new war game from right here in our old war game room. Zach Chow and I refight the decisive Battle of Actium. In our version, can Anthony and Cleopatra find a way to change history? Join us next time and you'll find out.